We need to address this, that the trans shooting stuff is getting out of control, and we need to address that this is actually a mental illness, and I don't know how to present this case in a way that you can process this. That is not shocking, so trigger warning, here it goes. This man with a severe mental illness, thinking, having the fantasy, the delusion that he is a woman for some reason, the delusion that so many trans people have. Gender dysphoria, they call it, and it's so trendy that maybe if you don't have any sort of gender dysphoria, you're not in, especially if you live in this, let's say, centers of disease in which children are infected with this from a very young age, and people with actual mental illnesses, they say, oh, this is an acceptable thing to do in society, and society should accept us. Well, this guy ended up basically having a shootout at a hockey game, and not only murder part of his family, but at the end kill himself. Which, by the way, if that was the plan, if that was the final outcome, my question is, why can't you start with the end? You know that it's like that literary way of writing books and stories, and in extreme arrest, in which you start at the end of the story. Maybe he could have started with himself, and he could have spared the rest of all his family and the people who were around him. But no, these freaks are so deranged that they pretty much want to take others. They want to take innocent people with them. And we have a very good essay to read about this and the level of mental illness that we're dealing with, and how this is repeating, because 1 week after a transgender man killed 8 kids in a school, a trans father kills his child and wife at school hockey. We have a serious crisis on our hands. I don't know how to soften this blow. I'm really sorry. Keep bashing us, but do not wonder why we go berserk. Literal words. The Pawtucket, Rhode Island mass shooter at a school hockey game is confirmed to be yet again a trans person. Quote-unquote, Roberta Dorgan shot 5 people, killing 2 and critically injuring 3 others. 4 of the 5 shooting victims are his family members. A woman and a girl are deceased. Dorgan was active on social media, where he often targeted me for my reporting. It was Andy No. And some other things about this situation. In 2020, Dorgan reported to police that he had recently undergone gender reassignment surgery, which led to conflicts, including his father-in-law demanding he leave their shared home. One of Dorgan's daughters publicly stated after the shooting that her father had mental health problems. So he was not only a loser, but he was crazy, and I guess the way to feel accepted by society was the trend pushed by liberals, pushed by the woke mob, pushed by Democrats over and over again, that, hey, it's okay, you were born in the wrong body. You should not be in an institution. You should not be in drugs. You should express yourself. This is yourself expressing with all this. During the incident, Dorgan, reportedly dressed in women's clothing, opened fire on family members in the stands using multiple weapons in what authorities described as a targeted domestic dispute. Dorgan ultimately died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound after a bystander intervened to help stop the attack. This is not going to stop until the insanity is addressed, and this is cataloged as what it is, a mental illness, and these people must be locked up in insane asylums, never to see the light of day again. Because until then, I'm going to ask the question, how can we pretend to allow our women and daughters and sisters to be in restrooms or around these freaks? How much more do we have to suffer under this collective insanity that they want to push onto us? And the Democrats and liberals are oddly quiet about this. And I have told you since 1 year ago that they were going to drop the transgender case. Let's say because they knew that it was not helping. Because you remember that when those questions popped up during Kamala Harris' campaign, Kamala Harris was pretty much silent. Because she knew, everybody knew that was insanity. This is, as I've told you many times, the monster Democrats created. And even if Democrats want to look the other way right now, they want to pretend that never happened, that it was never them, that it was hate pushed by MAGA or something. No, this insanity was pushed by them. And the problem is that they created this monster. And there's only one way to stop it. And nobody wants to put the bell on the cat's neck. That is the main issue, the main address. Because, I don't know, maybe people feel that, that is going to be inhuman or something. These people deserve some kind of compassion. Yeah, the compassion would be to lock them up in insane asylums. That would be the compassionate thing to do. So they can't hurt themselves, they can't hurt their families, or they can't hurt society. That is the compassionate thing to do. This is a Rhode Island shooter. His daughter said he had mental illness and was a very sick person. His ex-wife filed for divorce in 2020, citing his gender reassignment surgery, narcissistic and personality disorder traits. How come these people walk around free in anything remotely resembling a sane society? Now that is the problem. It is not a sane society. It is a poison society. It is a sick, ill society. Infected with, let's say, ideas just meant to, the chaos. This is chaos. The Abrodians is chaos. All of that is to make sure we are confronting each other, because I can imagine people pushing back against what I'm saying, but less and less people are pushing back against this. Breaking: the Rhode Island trans shooter tweeted yesterday, warning that you shouldn't point out that trans women are really men or they will go berserk. And you remember this thing, this dude, this man in Congress that having the delusion that he is a woman as well. I don't know. Again, you're gonna tell me that, okay, if you were I don't know, a WWE fighter or something, but without the boobs, okay, I could say. I mean, he looks like Sammy Hagar on steroids. He looks like a WWE fighter or something. But no, it's if you see this at the gym, you know that this thing has problems. This thing has problems. Open fire during a high school game. This thing wanted blood, and yeah, this is the kind of stuff that he tweeted. Trans my whole life. 1, stay out of sports. 2, leave kids alone. He did neither. He did neither of those. Benny Johnson has a very good recap. Tumblr Ridge shooter was transgender. Annunciation Catholic Church shooter identified as trans. Nashville Christian shooter identified as trans. Lakewood Church shooter identified as trans. Colorado Springs shooter identified as non-binary. Denver shooter identified as trans. Aberdeen shooter identified as trans. Iowa high school shooter, trans activist. Charlie Kirk's assassin Tyler Robinson had a furry obsession and lived with transgender boyfriend. And Trump's attempted assassin Thomas Crooks used they them pronouns, had a deep interest in furries, and was exploring gender identity. Yeah, this is the way. I thought that this was very appropriate. This is the thing that these freaks share on social media. Don't. Being trans sucks. I should off myself. And do. Being trans sucks. I should off everyone. Checks out. I mean, if you want to finish the book of your life yourself, maybe you can, I don't know how to say that. Home Depot, rope is not that expensive. It's not that expensive, and you don't need a license or anything to buy rope. Okay, then you can, do the things yourself. Maybe you don't want to go to Switzerland. You don't have the money to travel to Switzerland, but you don't have to take away your family with it. Your family doesn't have responsibility on it. Society doesn't have the responsibility on that. It's on you. And no, at some point, yeah, people should have the responsibility, because it's not like, okay, Democrats have been pushing for this, but these people were already, let's say, one sandwich short of a picnic. Some people are saying that, so the family should have been responsible for locking him up. But how do you do that? Because then the family is going to be criticized for anything. In which state or city would you be able realistically to say, I'm going to commit this person to an insane asylum because they think that they are a woman? I would like to know if that can actually happen in the United States. And at the same time, they can. In Rhode Island has a very strict ban on guns. Gator Gar, shout out to Gator Gar. Rhode Island has some of the strictest gun laws in the country, but that didn't stop a mentally ill trans from opening fire at a high school hockey game today, claiming the lives of his wife and others, including his own children. Tell me again how gun laws being stricter would solve the problem. And this essay from Christian Hyens, is spot on. Listen to this. Many of you have no idea just how common unspeakable evil things are about to become. This movement is well on the road to losing everything. Public opinion has firmly turned against them, even though they were subjected to a decade's worth of relentless institutional propaganda that was intended to normalize this bizarre, unnatural, and self-destructive fetish. The trans activist class is slowly learning they will never convince people that men can become women. They will never be accepted as a woman. They will never be a woman. No one is ever going to reorder society and nature itself just to satisfy their sexual fantasies. Having so thoroughly lost the debate, the political opportunists who leverage this movement for nothing more than the power it provided will eventually learn the juice isn't worth the squeeze. They will begin to back off and find a new fake moral cause to rally behind, as they always do, and they are already doing. The normies who got into it because it had become a social contagion will inevitably find something else to latch onto. There's always a new fad out there that you can follow to signal that you're a quote-unquote good person. They lose nothing except for changing their pronouns and Discord tags and, the little flags that they put on their bios. But for the true believers, both in the political class and the normies who fully bought in, there's no going back. If the movement they had staked their very identity upon dies, a significant portion of them will choose to take others down with them. If you're under the age of 40, you have been waiting for this. You know exactly what's happening because you've interacted with these people before, either in person or online. How could you avoid them? They invaded your hobbies, your workplace, your business, and your online communities and demanded total affirmation and celebration for being freak shows. And when you didn't give it to them, how did they respond? Now society itself is refusing to give it to them, and they will respond exactly the way you always knew they would. And I would add, with violence, because that's all that they have left, especially when some of them will realize exactly that. They destroy their own bodies, they destroy their own lives. They thought that they would fit it. They thought that society would finally accept them, but the tide is turning, and this is going to get worse. So please, stay safe out there. Let me know what you think about this in the comments. My name is Jesus Enrique Rosas. I'm the Bad Language Guy. Much love and